Hi, my name is Michael Waits. Welcome back to Insurance for the New Possible, a Chubb conversation. Today, let's welcome Alex Blake, Senior Vice President and the Global Head of Travel Insurance at Chubb, and Peter Altmann, the Vice President, Mobility and Travel Protection at Amadeus. And I wanted to tell a little story first before we started. And this is a real thing that happened to me. I walked into my daughter's room when she was around 12 or 13 years old. When she was at school, I just walked into a room to maybe pick something up for her. And there was a poster on her wall. And that poster said, "Years from now, you will be more disappointed by the things you didn't do than by the things you did do." And I just thought, this is really thoughtful for a 13-year-old. But I also thought it applied to like my whole travel life. I want to go here. I want to do this. And if I don't go, years later, I'm going to regret the fact that I didn't do it, not that I did do it. And I want to talk about a bunch of things in this context: travel, mobility, the Tribes Report, and customer experiences. And maybe before we do that, you can give us a little bit of background about Amadeus itself.
Sure. Thank you very much for having me on the show.
Thank you.
Peter Altmann, Vice President of Mobility and Travel Protection. Amadeus, we are a travel technology company, the world's leading travel technology company. In my area particular, I'm looking after mobility and travel protection. And that may not sound obvious to everybody what mobility and travel protection means. Under mobility, we basically cover everything related to car rental, ground transportation. And when it comes to travel protection, it's really travel insurance and any kind of fintech products which are related to travel. We have rebranded to travel protection because, as I said, we expanded our portfolio. In the past, we only had travel insurance products. And now with fintech products and service products which are coming into the market, we have rebranded to travel protection, that our partners, the new partners giving us that content, feel home under our brand, so to say.
Right. Okay. That's so interesting. And if we can spend a ton of time talking about where fintech and finance fit into the travel experience, whether it's ground transportation, air transportation, hotels, anywhere that travel is, right? It sounds kind of cool. Let's do this. Talk to me about the evolution of Amadeus over, I don't know, the last decade or so, and how tech has helped shape this innovation in its product and services.
Looking back, Amadeus traditionally was really a company focusing on airlines, on air travel. We have vastly diversified into hospitality. Under hospitality, for example, now we do IT solution for hotels. We have moved into the payment space. We have now a new company which is called Outpace, purely focusing on payment solutions. Beyond the airline, we are now as well supplying IT solution to airports. So when you go to an airport, you check in and so on, you go through security. These are Amadeus solutions. So we have really diversified from being a global distribution system to an overall IT company for the travel industry.
Where in this context of fintech and insurtech and insurance with technology does Chubb fit into this?
Well, simply put, Amadeus has distribution clients. So those are airlines, online travel agencies, could be car rental distributors, hotel companies. And our partnership with Amadeus is really there to serve those clients of Amadeus with travel insurance products that really do a couple of things. One, provides a layer of protection for the customers of those companies, and also, of course, generates an income stream for those companies as well. Now, as we talk about the advent of fintech and insurtech, obviously Chubb being a traditional insurance company, we've got to adapt the way that we think, and we've got to adapt the way that we go to market with solutions that are very digital, not traditional, kind of insurance type of solutions, but things that are more catered toward the digital audience that Amadeus really is catering to, right?
Is it, sorry, go ahead.
And if I may pick up on that, right? I mean, Chubb and Amadeus, we're really having a good partnership, right? Very successful partnership. And we talked over the past days about that we should be looking into ways how we can digitalize as well the experience if somebody, a traveler, is buying a travel insurance or a travel protection product. That's clearly something we are now discussing, how we can digitalize that as well.
Absolutely. And interestingly, our partnership with Amadeus goes back a long time, some 15 years or so. And I think initially started because we were dealing with traditional travel agencies, and Amadeus was a company that, you know, one of the things that you guys did was to power those channels, right? To allow a travel agency to have a platform through which they could book airline tickets and hotels, and insurance was a part of that kind of itinerary build process. And over the years, that has evolved into being much more of a digital play. And you know, we have a lot of things that we've discussed in terms of what the future of our partnership might look like. And it's about digitization, it's about innovation, it's about bringing new things to customers in a new way, right?
And coming back as well to the question you asked me before, right? I mean, this is as well how Amadeus changed and evolved, right?
Yeah.
While historically we were really focusing on the brick and mortar travel agency business, while today we are really powering the online world, right? We work with Chubb very successfully in bringing insurance products into the airline websites. We are powering the online travel agencies of this world. So it really has moved away from the traditional distribution business, so to say, into the online world.
I feel like if you go back to 1987, right, when Amadeus was founded, I feel like there was this innovation ethos from the beginning. In a way, it was almost like a travel tech startup before that word even existed. They looked at this big thing and said, shouldn't somebody consolidate all this information into one place and make it easier for travel agents? But from your perspective, do you find it interesting, and do you work with partners, normally maybe the wrong word, but that have this one distribution mechanism, right? I deal with every airline in the world. I have this massive global distribution system, GDS, right? But now I'm branching out and taking that tech and giving it to hotels, giving it to airports. It's almost like a natural extension of, well, shouldn't we then take the products we do together and extend them to here, to here, to here? Because distribution is one of the biggest things that matters in the insurance, particularly if
Absolutely.
you're embedded. Yeah. You're already doing it in one place. Now you can do it in all these other places.
Sure, absolutely. And I think that that's, you know, really the power of a partnership with a company like Amadeus. And Amadeus being, you know, I would say very unique in what you do, and the kind of breadth of what you guys are able to service, right? Absolutely, there are opportunities to continue to expand, and we've discussed a lot about that this week while we've both been here in Singapore, about opportunities that may arise where we can mutually benefit each other, right, in that regard. So Chubb being able to take care of a broader set of clients across the Amadeus value chain, and of course, what's in it for us is that we get access to those customers through Amadeus, right?
So we spent a little bit of time talking about tech, existing tech, and some legacy tech as well. Let's dig a bit deeper and understand the impact of emerging technologies. There's so much happening right now. So how do you integrate those emerging technologies? And then how does that get integrated into travel experiences as well? And maybe if you want, tell me like what your ideal travel experience looks like. I can tell you mine for sure.
If I may take a step back,
Please.
right? I mean, we all talk about new technology, right? I think before we talk about new technology and develop new technology, I think it's very important to firstly understand what does the traveler want. Because without understanding the traveler, you can develop technology nobody's using. Okay, that's one aspect.
I love
right?
it. I love it.
And I think we in Amadeus, we are spending a lot of time and resources in doing research.
Okay.
To understand the traveler of the future, so to say, right? Because we need to project ourselves into the future to understand or assume what the traveler in the future will be in order to develop the right technology. And there is one point, and here I'm reaching out a little bit, not to talk about travel insurance only, where we are putting a lot of focus right now is really to enable the fully digitalized end-to-end journey of the traveler. What I mean with that is really from not only the booking process, when you go to the airport, that we enable the boarding process using facial recognition technology.
Go ahead.
doing the check-in, going through security. Okay, then you arrive at the destination, and then we are working now on technology to enable keyless car rental. So using as well facial recognition technology to open the car that you can bypass the counter.
Right.
You get to your hotel, obviously the same, digitalize the check-in, right, of the hotel. And then we are not going to stop when the traveler goes back home and arrives at his house, at his home, right? And this is something Alex and I discussed this week. So how can we then as well digitalize the claim process in case something happened to the traveler and he or she is eligible for a refund or compensation? This today is a very manual process.
Yeah.
So how can we, Chubb and Amadeus, for example, work together in order to as well digitalize that process?
Yeah, and that, I should say, there are tremendous opportunities to do that. I think one of the issues with the insurance industry is that it isn't as digital in terms of the customer experience. And I'm not talking about travel necessarily, but just the industry in general, right? I think it remains a pretty manual process. You know, we have websites where people can lodge a claim and so on and so forth. But I think if you fast forward 5 years, there's going to be a whole concept of automatic claims, using data to understand certain things, certain events that have taken place in a traveler's journey that insurance can respond to and does so automatically, right? And certainly there are opportunities to work together to bring that to life.
Exactly, and I mean we are already starting that process in Amadeus. If there is an event, we can see that it happened to the traveler, right? I mean we can control with data and so on what is happening to the traveler. For example, a flight delay, right? Because we in Amadeus, we have the data. We know when a flight is delayed.
And who's on the flight.
And who is on the flight.
Right.
And we as well know if that passenger has purchased a protection product for flight delay. So we can really trigger then an automated refund so the traveler doesn't have to fill in a form or say, hey, my flight was delayed. Can I get my compensation, right?
Yeah.
And we are doing that as well now with a cancellation product. So a traveler is canceling its booking with an airline, and then we are triggering the automated refund to the traveler's credit card. So that's the benefit to the traveler. But on top of that, then we cancel the flight reservation and the seat allocation. So the benefit to the airline is that they can resell the seat. So it's really here as well to create benefits for all parties involved.
So you're gathering a ton of data, right? Even if it's anonymized data, it doesn't matter like who I am, but you just know that I'm there.
Yeah.
And you have all the booking across multiple airlines. So you can actually do a whole bunch of statistical analysis on data, not just for parametric products like this, which are amazing, right? If I'm at the airport and I look up and my flight's canceled and I need to be in LA for that meeting, I have a whole host of other problems to worry about rather than just how do I get reimbursed for this?
Exactly.
Right? But the fact that it just shows up, I get ping and it just goes, your credit card's been credited for this because you had the protection. Oh my God, my life is already better.
And
go ahead.
You will book again, right?
Absolutely.
Because you as a traveler, you
it.
are satisfied. I mean,
Absolutely.
The next time you will book that product again, you will not think about it because you were happy because it worked.
So, and you said extending this beyond, absolutely, right? Yeah. Just with every other business. If somebody brings me over the wrong meal, right, at a restaurant and they say, oh, you wanted the steak instead? Don't worry, keep this. It's on us. And then what did you say your partner wanted? Oh, the chicken instead? They just bring it.
Yeah.
I'm coming back every week to that restaurant in the same way, right? But if we extend this, if you know, because not only at the beginning, right, Amadeus, GDS for flights, just to simplify things. But now you're at the airport, you're at the hotel, and you know my entire digital travel experience. So if you think about how you could integrate all that data, not just again from the booking of the airline, but you can now also help me with checkout time. You can also help me out with optimizing hotel room management, and all the data you have can then say, you can let this guy check out at 7 because there's a way, we know who's coming and who's not, and make the experience across the travel value chain better for everybody, no?
Clearly, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
We are not there yet.
No, I know, I
right?
know.
I mean, data.
You talked about the future, though, right?
We have the data. Using the data and sharing the data is still very complex.
Sure.
There's a lot of regulations.
Yep.
But we have great opportunities by sharing data.
Yeah, you do. And do you want to talk a little bit about the different, do you want to fast forward a little bit with me and talk about the different types of traveler, particularly in this Tribes report that got published, right? Because I think that report was fascinating. And it did break it down into traveler types. And I do think at some level that, what am I, Gen X? Barely. But if I look at the way that I look at travel and also the data that gets used, frankly, I'm super happy if my trip is optimized to give my data out and say, I trust you.
Mm-hmm.
I trust you. But I think it breaks down into different categories. You want to talk about some of those categories and maybe how that fits into this discussion?
I mean, when we look at the traveler tribes, and I think it's a very good report. I mean,
It's a great report.
We did it.
I read it.
I mean, everybody who wants the report, it's on our corporate website, right?
Yeah.
You go to amadeus.com and you can download the report. We did categorize the travelers basically into 4 categories. The first one is the pioneering pathfinder.
What does that mean?
Pioneering pathfinder, what we see here is really as well that they are very conscious in terms of sustainability.
Okay.
So they are really paying attention how they travel, that whatever hotel or transportation options they choose is friendly to the environment.
Interesting.
So very much focused on that. Memory makers, I think, it explains by itself, right? It's really people travel to have long-lasting memories.
Right.
Okay.
I went to Lake Como and I loved it. I'm never going to forget it, kind of thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
The tech-savvy travelers, it's an interesting piece. It's basically the generation below 32 years, really tech-savvy, using a lot of technology apps and so on for their travel. And I think here would like to bridge over as well, because we believe that it is a group very likely to purchase travel insurance.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Because they're really looking on to as well protecting their travel.
Interesting. They should know it though, right? Because for them, an embedded insurance experience should fit into the rest of their lifestyle, no?
Yeah, absolutely. So I agree with you. I think there's an opportunity there in this segment. It is about making the product interesting, though, right? And some of the things that we've discussed around how we can automate claims processes, service processes, and make things easier for customers. These types of customers are going to be looking for that. Certainly.
Exactly. Yep. It's the digital experience when purchasing a travel insurance, right?
Yep.
And then coming back to your point as well regarding the generations, right? I think we need to really as well classify which generation is more likely to purchase an insurance or protection product and what kind of protection product.
Interesting.
I mean, when you look at the younger generation, right? Most of them are very budget conscious.
For sure.
So they even book a trip with multiple stops, right? Because they look for the cheapest option or the option that fits their budget, right?
Right.
I mean, you and we may look for a direct trip, right? Because it's about convenience.
I just want to get to Barcelona.
Exactly,
I don't care
exactly.
how.
And they look at the budget and they book a flight which may have 1 or 2 stopovers, right?
Right.
That it fits into the budget. Will they really look for a fully comprehensive product, including medical insurance? No, because they are young. They're not concerned about their health and so on. But they clearly look at protecting the money they are spending. Right. So it's like a refund product or a cancellation product.
Yeah.
Because in case they do have to cancel, they need that money back, right, for the next trip. So I think that's as well an interesting aspect. We should be looking into what age group is most likely to purchase what kind of insurance or protection product.
Is there a personalization aspect to this as well? And again, getting back to the data too, do you find that travelers want to have this personalized experience? And is it even possible? Because from the embedded insurance perspective, you're right. I may be way more concerned about if I get somewhere and have a health problem, what do I do? But I don't really care about the reimbursement as much, although sure, it would be great to be reimbursed. But if you can then bifurcate those products, right, and separate them out, well, then the person who cares about the reimbursement can get it more easily. There's more to personalization than that, but just as an example, you're smiling. Go for it.
Alex and I, we had a long discussion. I don't know, it was yesterday or the evening before yesterday.
It's hard to remember.
I'm sharing a personal example, right?
Please.
Okay, I'm a member of a frequent flyer program, right? Without naming the name of the airline. That airline promoted a credit card to me, okay, which I did accept, right? I purchased that credit card. That credit card now comes with certain coverage.
Right.
It does cover me for things while traveling if I have paid the flight with that credit card.
Yes.
Right? So the airline knows who I am. The airline knows that I have their preferred credit card.
Right.
Right? And then I'm booking a flight with that airline, and then they're just giving me the standard insurance offer. Right? I mean, this is personalization. They should know who I am.
Right.
Or they know who I am. They know what credit card I have.
They marketed to you.
Exactly. They did market it to me, right? They know what is covered by my credit card. Why don't you give me an offer which is really personalized
That
to
supplements it, that says, we know you, you have our card, that coverage includes this.
Exactly.
But you're going here, and it's probably important to get this as well.
Yeah, sure. And I think in that particular example, as we discussed, Peter, the customer making a decision to buy or not might think, well, I've already got coverage under the credit card, right? And in fact, there may be overlapping coverage. So it's about creating products, understanding who you are, and offering you a product that is a supplement to that rather than an overlap to that. And also the way that it gets communicated to you might be, well, we know you've got this coverage already because you're going to use this credit card to buy. This coverage is different than that. And it's in addition to that. It supplements that, right? So certainly, those opportunities exist. Another very simple example that we use in terms of personalization is somebody buying a trip 3 months in advance, right? There's a lot of unknowns in terms of what's going to happen in that 3 months and whether the person is eventually going to have to cancel that trip. Somebody buying a trip to travel tomorrow, right, is very unlikely to cancel. So your take-up rate for cancellation insurance for that, next day buyer is going to be very low, right? So you personalize it so that you kind of communicate to the person that what they're buying is relevant to them and doesn't contain things that they're not going to need, right? And that's also the concept of personalization, and that, naturally will translate into a higher take-up rate.
Exactly, because today when I go to this airline website, I even don't pay attention to the insurance offer, right? Because I looked at it a few times and it's just a standard offer.
Right.
Today I'm no longer
It's nothing
paying.
to do with me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if they would give me something which complements what is already covered by my credit card, then I would buy it, right? But I'm not buying just a standard product.
Right. So I want to ask you this. You talk about I want to talk about partnerships in a little bit more deep way. You say that, you get the card from that airline, you have their frequent flyer program, you get their generic coverage because it's already included in the card. And the idea is, the expectation is, as a consumer, and I think this is across generations, is you know me, you know enough about me. Be more proactive in the creativity and innovation that you sell to me so I don't have to think about it. And don't give me 15 choices. Give me the 3 choices that you know are relevant to me. And that's important. In reverse, right? Amadeus, this company that was started with an innovation ethos and that has seen the future coming and innovates into it. When you work with partners as well, again, you use the data. Do you say to, whether it's an insurance company, a hotel partner, an airport partner, and say, here are the things that we see coming. Proactively, we're thinking about this as an innovation strategy. Do you work together with them at that level to create those innovations as well on a proactive basis?
I think we have to look at it in two dimensions.
I love it. Go ahead.
When it comes to partnerships, right? I mean, concretely speaking, with Chubb, right, and Alex this week, yes, we do proactively look into how we can create new technology, how we can really bring innovation to the industry. We do that proactively with our partners, with Chubb for the insurance part of our business, but obviously as well with car rental companies, with hotel chains, and so on. I think that is a very important aspect. On top of that, I mentioned before in Amadeus we do a lot of industry research, right? And there are very concrete examples that we don't do the research necessarily only by ourselves.
Okay.
Not sure if you have seen that. A very good example is that last year we published together with Microsoft a white paper. Microsoft now is one of the strategic partner of Amadeus, right? And we worked with Microsoft on an extensive research about the future of the car rental industry. And we were researching actually with industry experts for about 9 months. And there were moments where I was like ready to pull my hair. I have left, right? Because it was just like...
I know the feeling.
It was so much work we did put into that.
Sure.
And then finally, we released that white paper last year. And I'm super proud of it. And it really gives us as well credibility, right?
Sure.
I mean, when you do a research with a company like Microsoft and you go to market with a white paper, it really gives you a lot of credibility.
The gravitas is deep, yeah. Yeah. One of the things that we talk about in travel is that you get to go and see new places and new things. And in the Tribes report, you talk about this, right? And again, I love this idea of doing research not alone, but together. And we should actually find a way to promote where that research is so people can get a better sense about the Microsoft report, the Tribes report as well, because I do think it's important. And I did read through this report, and it was actually really good. But one of the things that it mentioned was this inherent curiosity that humans have to do the new thing. I live in this place. I've lived here my whole life. I want to go see the thing that I've never seen before. I think this is neophilia. But then there's this fear of, if I get there, am I going to be able to communicate with people? Am I going to be able to eat the food? Again, is my insurance going to cover it if I have any problems? This is neophobia, the fear of new things. How does that play into the way both of you think about, like, disintermediating the fear part in the context of the I want to see new things part?
I think here as well, technology can really help.
Go ahead.
That travelers get over that stage of being afraid or nervous going to a place. Right. And again, I think here a company like Chubb can really help. Again, I mean, when I travel abroad and I go to a place I've never been before, I may not speak the language there, right?
I'm sure you probably do in most places, but go ahead. I understand the point.
In some. I may not speak the language, right? I may not be able to communicate with the people on the street and ask questions. And oh gosh, what I'm going to do if I'm really getting sick, right? If something happens to me, right? And I think here companies like Chubb can really as well give the comfort to the traveler to say, hey, if something happens to me, I bought your insurance product, right? And you can help me while being at the destination to find a doctor, to find a hospital. I think here as well, the technology piece can really help.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I also agree that we very much see our role, or we very much see ourselves as playing a role in that.
Sure.
You know, I think about markets like some of the emerging markets of Asia or even in Latin America. You have a lot of new travelers, right? You've got a lot of new people for whom, you know, only now or only in the last 5-10 years, air travel has been something that is accessible to them, right? But you may have that neophobia when it comes to traveling. And certainly I think insurance, if it's communicated in the right way, and also a lot of people, despite the fact that travel may only be newly accessible to them. I think across Asian markets and across many other kind of emerging markets, one truism is that a lot of those people are digitally savvy, right? It's like they jump the queue and just instantly kind of, they have phones.
The mobile phone's done that.
Exactly.
Right?
The mobile phone has done that, right? So
if they work at the destination, if you can get data and so on. Then
Correct, right? But I think, digital capability has a role to play there, along with insurance, right? And that's part of making people feel comfortable about things, is doing them in a way that they can understand, right? And certainly digital plays a role in that.
It's about peace of mind, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I'll share a personal story with you as well. I was on vacation in Asia. This is not that long ago, maybe 10 years ago. And my wife got like an ear infection. They were on an island somewhere. So what did we do? We logged in and we said, where's the closest great hospital? Turns out that was in Bangkok. Okay? Where health travel was invented essentially, right? So we looked it up. We also checked to see if our insurance was covered there. There was nothing like getting to a hospital in a foreign country at the time and just thinking, I feel safe now. And that hospital solved her problem. We got back on the plane, went back on vacation, and everything was fine. But that level of safety made it, again, like you said, there's this neophilia of like, I want to go to that new place. And the fear of what if something bad happens? It was disintermediated, the risk was mitigated, and we went right back. And it gave us this confidence of no matter where we go now, we feel safe. And that was super important. Yeah. I want to end by talking about the show that you do, actually. You have your own show called Amadeus Mobility Talks.
I do, yes.
You do. Which is maybe why you're so good at this. It gave me a ton of confidence. I watched some of it. It's really good stuff. But talk to me about the reason why you do it, why you think that this storytelling inside of this industry is so important, and what you think the impact of these stories that you're telling, these little vignettes that you're working on, are going to be.
What I do with my mobility talks is as well, like I did with you, talk about traveler trends, right?
Yes.
It's about saying, okay, we look at the traveler, we want to understand the traveler, and based on the trends we are seeing, we want then to develop the technology going forward, right? We have our long-term vision in terms of where we want to be as Amadeus, where we want to be with our mobility and travel protection product. And why I'm doing the show is really to share with other people in the industry what we are doing in Amadeus and how we do that together with our partners.
With your partners, right?
With the partners.
Exactly.
It's all about the partners, right?
Yeah.
It's not just me talking. I'm really bringing our partners into the show,
right,
to get as well their point of view, and then to a certain extent to get the confidence that what I'm doing is really matching as well what my partner wants to have. So looking at the traveler trend and then talking to your partner and get the feedback that we are going in the right direction. That's the main reason why I'm doing the mobility talks.
And how's it going so far?
I'm super thrilled. Okay. I have to say, when I did the first show, I was pretty nervous. I was pretty nervous. It's now, it has become a routine. It has become a habit, but not a routine that I don't enjoy.
No,
I really.
But it's weird though, right? Once you start, you're like, wait a second, we didn't do one this week. I need to do more.
Yeah, and I have 5 in the making, so I recorded already 5 others. Obviously, they now have to go through marketing, through legal approval and so on. Watch out, there are 5 new episodes coming.
I want to ask you one more thing and then I let you go. You can have the partner conversation, which is super important, right? And you have it publicly, so everybody knows what you're thinking now, right? And other partners can see it and they think, how can we get involved? Do you ever consider having traveler conversations to see what the actual traveler's thinking?
Interesting aspect. I mean, we do a lot of research with travelers.
Right.
But maybe I'm picking that one up, that I should do a mobility talk or something similar with an actual traveler. I haven't thought about that yet, but maybe. Yep.
Okay.
Good point.
You're very welcome. That's a great way to end. Alex Blake, Senior Vice President, Global Head of Travel Insurance at Chubb. Peter Altmann, thank you so much. The Vice President, Mobility and Travel Protection at Amadeus. I learned a lot. I had a blast. You were both awesome. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you. And thank you also on behalf of to Peter for being here. We've enjoyed it.
Thank you both. Both a pleasure.